Warami, welcome. My name is Anna Cossu and I'm a curator with the Museums of History, New South Wales. And I'm speaking to you from the Carlin and Simpson Library here at the Mint on Gadigal country. And I'd like to pay my respects to elders past and present and to the strength and resilience of First Nations people and cultures. This video considers the concept of significance, what it is and what are the benefits of using it. Like most museums, large and small, our collections are at the heart of why we exist and why we matter. Objects bring our places and museums to life. It is important that we understand as much as possible about our objects and collections we hold so that we can share these stories with our communities now and into the future. And this is where understanding and using significance can help. So what is significance? Significance is about the values and meanings that an object or collection have for people and communities. You can also think of it of what makes that object or collection special or important. What stories does it hold for past, present and future generations? Significance 2.0 is a national guideline used by all collecting institutions, small and large, to assess and communicate significance of objects using a standard process and set of criteria. In essence, it guides us to ask questions about our objects and our collections so that we can understand what makes them important and worth keeping. A significance assessment is a process of researching and understanding significance. If you're not already using Significance 2.0, you can download a copy at the Museums and Galleries New South Wales website. So, let's look at an example of an object from the Susanna Place Museum collection to help explain significance. Now, Susanna Place is a row of 4 terraces located in the historic Rocks area of Sydney and is now one of the museums in our care. It was built by Irish immigrants in 1844 and has survived largely unchanged through the slum clearances of the early 1900s and the redevelopment plans of the 1970s. The houses were lived in for almost 150 years, and today as a museum, it tells the stories of the families who called it home. So this dressmaker's mannequin, or dress form, was manufactured by Acme in Brooklyn, New York, and it dates to around the 1960s. It has 14 sections or panels that are adjustable to reflect the measurements of its user, and each of these panels are covered in a jersey fabric. The main body sits on a grey metal pole, and it has a 4-footed base. The pole and base are showing signs of rust. And a piece of timber has been attached to 2 of the legs on the base of this stand. So what I've just told you is a physical description of the object, or a catalogue or an object description. And these types of dress mannequins were common in the homes of many dressmakers, and they can still be found for sale online. So what makes this dress mannequin important or special? What is the significance of this object? Significance is more than a physical description of the object. An object's significance is assessed against 4 primary criteria. Firstly, its historic significance. Is it associated with a particular person, group, event, place or activity, and how is it important? Next, its scientific or research potential. Is it of interest and value to researchers today or in the future? Another criteria is its aesthetic or artistic significance. Is it well designed or made? Is the design original? If it's an artwork, is it a good example of the artist's work or the artistic movement? Or does it depict a person that is important or a subject or place that is important? And lastly, the social and spiritual significance. Is the object or collection valued by a particular group today, and why is it important to them? There are also 4 comparative criteria which are used to evaluate the level of significance of the object or collection. And these criteria are provenance, rarity, or if it's representative, condition or completeness, and lastly, the interpretive capacity or potential of the object or collection. So let's return to the Susanna Place object and its significance. This 1960s dressmaker's mannequin is of historic significance due to its association with Susanna Place. It is an example of the domestic items owned and used by a former tenant during the period they lived at Susanna Place. If we can apply the comparative criteria, it has a strong provenance. The mannequin was used by Ellen Marshall, who along with her husband and daughter lived at Susanna Place for 28 years, from 1962 to 1990. The item was donated to the museum by her daughter. The condition, another comparative criteria, demonstrates signs of wear and tear, reflecting its long use by Ellen to make clothes for herself and her daughter. The mannequin is actually set to Ellen's measurements. And we are lucky to have some related items in the collection, including Ellen's industrial sewing machine, her sewing box, and homemade clothes. This object has a strong interpretive capacity or potential. That is, it can tell a number of stories. Having the object on display in the museum helps create an immersive or a physical and tangible experience for visitors because it helps to literally demonstrate the daily lives of past residents, in this case Ellen. This object connects us with Ellen's early working life doing piecework for inner city clothing factories while her daughter was in primary school. And the object also connects us with generations of women who learnt to sew as a matter of necessity to earn a living and to make clothes for themselves and their family. This example has demonstrated an object can be significant by fulfilling only one of the primary criteria, in this case, its historic value, supported by the comparative criteria of having a known provenance and a strong interpretive potential. So, why use significance? Assessing the significance of an object or collection is a useful tool that can help museums in many different ways. Museums have finite resources, people, budgets, storage space, display space. By using significance assessment, we can make better and more consistent decisions about whether to accept or refuse a donation offer, and whether that object really deserves inclusion into our collection. And if the answer is no, the significance assessment can also help explain the reasons to that very generous donor. So significance assessment can also help us bring donors along with the process of how we assess a collection before it comes into a museum. So we recently worked with the Marshall family to bring a large collection of household items back to Susanna Place Museum. So just before me, I have a large collection of train tickets. And in this case, we worked with the donor to talk about the fact that we couldn't take everything from this collection. We worked with the family to identify objects that were in good condition, that we could physically display and store. And we took a representative sample of their interest in trains and all things souvenir from trains. Significance assessment can also help museums to prioritise the care of what is most important to keep. It can help with deaccession decisions, that is, removing objects from our collection, because ultimately we can't keep everything. A significance assessment is also important in guiding conservation decisions so that the special qualities of an object are preserved. For example, the wear and tear of this dress mannequin is an important part of its history, and any conservation of this object would need to be mindful of this wear and tear. So knowing which items in our collections are significant or important is also crucial in disaster planning and procedures, determining what should be prioritised, recovered, conserved in the event of a disaster such as a flood. And finally, significance assessments also help us communicate to others the importance of our collections. We can tell richer stories, make connections with our communities and audiences in person and online, and it can help identify themes for future displays. Significance assessments can also generate online stories. We can use them in social media posts and gain publicity. Significance can also identify what to include on online collection databases. Significance helps us tell richer and deeper stories to our visitors in tours, education programs and events. From the moment an object comes into our museum, we are required to document, conserve, store, research and provide access to it now and for future generations. In order to do these things, we need to understand what makes that object important or significant. I hope this video has given you a better understanding of Significance 2.0 and how it can support the work you do in your museum.